Welcome to today's episode of Hot Take That's Not Really a Hot Take. Today we'll be looking at the France and Spain game and what a game that was. We'll be looking at what Lionel Messi would have done differently if he played for France. We'll be answering the question of, is Kylian Mbappe the greatest World Cup performer of all time? And why England would be a harder opponent for Spain than France were. Let's go. Okay, Spain 2, France 0. Now, leading up to this game, I predicted that Spain would beat France. I didn't think it would be the complete domination that it was from start to finish, but I did think Spain would win because Spain had a stronger midfield. And if you're able to control the midfield, you can control the game. So even though France have Mbappe, Dembele, Olise, Barcola, if they don't get the ball, there's nothing they can do. And one thing Spain are specialists at is keeping the ball, keeping you away from it, making sure that they take care of it, making sure that they keep it for long stretches of time where you're just basically chasing shadows. And I knew that France's midfield were not equipped enough to deal with Spain's midfield. And also, if Spain have the ball most of the time, then they have to do less defending. So I thought possession was king and possession would be king. I also felt that France believed that they are either equal or superior to Spain. So I didn't feel that France would go into this game and change anything about how they play, change anything about their play style. And I think ultimately that was their undoing. So I don't think France would have looked at themselves and thought, we are weaker than Spain in the midfield, or Spain are superior to us in the midfield. I thought France would have thought, we're the best team, and if we turn up, we're going to win. But that's not how life or football works. You also have to consider your weaknesses and you have to consider the strengths of your opponent. And that is something I don't think France considered at all. I think France would have fared better in this game, just this game, if they made certain changes. And for me, those changes should have been Dembele up top, Mbappe to the left, Olise to the right, and bring on Cherki into the number 10 role. I think that would have helped with the ball possession. Cherki can keep the ball. And I think against a team like Spain, being able to keep the ball for long stretches and making them do some of the running would have helped. Without Cherki in there and having Mbappe up front, who was not willing to press in the same way that Dembele would have pressed. Because there was times in this game where Dembele was pressing. But the thing about the press is it has to be a team effort. It has to be a frontline effort. You can't press alone. So whenever Dembele pressed, all Spain did was just pass it around him. But credit to Spain, they dominated. Rodri provided a midfielding lesson to France. They couldn't live with him. He was so calm. He was so composed, rarely lost the ball. Just greatness in midfield. Also, shout out and praise has to go to Cucurella. Along the left side, he has been immense. He has been brilliant. And I feel Spain were deserved winners. I also want to address the narrative of Yamal versus Mbappe. People keep talking about football as if it's boxing. Football is a team sport. So narratives like, oh, Yamal is now 8 wins to 2 against Mbappe. Yamal did not have a good game. Yamal was okay this game. It's Spain that beat France. So why is the narrative Yamal against Mbappe? Yamal was just okay this game. He's been okay this entire tournament. Do we believe that if Yamal and Mbappe were to swap teams, France would have fared any better? So let's say, for example, Spain get Mbappe. So instead of Oyarzabal up front, Mbappe's up front. And France get Yamal. And so Yamal is on the left instead of Dembele. So that means Dembele goes up top. Do we think France would have won this game or done any better? No. They would have got a real spanking because now Spain would have a world-class striker up front who's been performing all tournament. So I think the simplistic, easy boxing narrative that we attach to football of this player versus this player is quite unnecessary, and it's not in line with the reality of what actually happens in games and the reality of the sport, which is a team sport. Spain beat France. Yamal did not beat Mbappe. And a lot of people are saying, oh, people are now switching up on Mbappe, switching up on France because they lost one game. It's not about losing one game. It's about how you perform when you meet equal opposition, when you meet opposition who are just as good as you, where you are not the overwhelming favorites. And until now, every game that France have played, they have been the overwhelming favorites. They did not meet a single World Cup giant, right? A single nation which is considered to have a World Cup legacy. So they were always expected to win those games. They did not meet a single team that could provide the problems that Spain provided, that could ask them the questions that Spain were asking. Yeah, so it's not a switch up. It's about when you now meet equal opposition, how you perform. And it's not simply the fact that France lost, because any team can lose a game of football. It's the manner in which they lost. It's the complete and utter domination which they experienced at the hands of this excellent Spain team. And with that, I'd like to segue into the narrative that has been pumped throughout this entire World Cup of Mbappe is the greatest World Cup performer of all time. I thought that was nonsense before this game. And I still think that is a nonsense statement. Some people were even saying Mbappe carried France in 2018 and then carried them again last year and is carrying them. Are you not aware of the team France had in 2018 when Mbappe was 18 years old? The Kantés, the Griezmanns, the Pogbas. That France team was stacked and was not carried by Mbappe. And that's why we cannot be prisoners of the moment. Context matters. Mbappe, for me, is a World Cup legend. But to say that he is at the very top of World Cup legends was ridiculous before this match and remains ridiculous after the match. But what you'll find is those who are asserting that notion will now disappear. But if you thought before this match that Mbappe was the greatest World Cup performer of all time, then that should still be the case. Because as far as you were concerned, he had already earned that spot. Losing to Spain shouldn't change that. But the fact that those people have gone silent shows that it was never a legitimate statement to begin with. The greatest World Cup performers of all time is an argument between Pele, Messi, and Diego Maradona. Mbappe is not in that range yet. Mbappe does not have a World Cup golden ball. Mbappe has not carried the team on his back as their best player and won the tournament. He is not in that conversation. He may be one day. As of this World Cup, Mbappe is not in that conversation. And now to the point of why Lionel Messi is the best football player at this World Cup tournament. He has too much to his game for anyone to be his equal. If Lionel Messi was playing for France against Spain yesterday, if he was French and was on the France national team yesterday, once he started up front and saw that actually we can't get a foothold into this game, we can't get possession of the ball, Lionel Messi would have dropped into midfield to help control the game. Mbappe cannot do that. Not that he's not a great player, but he doesn't have those tools. You see, Lionel Messi has the attacking tools and the playmaking tools, and therefore he is able to help his team in a range of ways that no other player can. It's like against Egypt. He recognized, actually, we are lacking on the wings. So what did he do? He went to the wings. That is something that only Lionel Messi can do. So there are world-class players. There are great players like Mbappe, like Olise, like Dembele. But there is only one Lionel Messi. If England reach the finals against Spain, England will give Spain a much harder match than France did. And not because England are better than France, but it's because England will approach the game with a different mentality. Whereas France approached the game with the mentality of we are better than Spain or we are equal to Spain and we just need to play our game, England would approach the game with the mentality of underdogs. England will let Spain have all the ball and England will sit back and look to hit on the counter. And that is going to be a much harder proposition for Spain because England is not going to come out and go at it with Spain. They're going to sit back and look to absorb the pressure, just like Cape Verde did against Spain. And that's why it's going to be a tougher match because England are going to be a much more stubborn opponent and looking to be much more defensively compact than France ever were. They're not looking to engage Spain in a midfield battle. They will sit back and look to frustrate. So Spain is going to have to try and break England down. England might look to take it to penalties. And that's why it's going to be a tougher match for Spain than the France match was. As always, let me know what you think in the comments and what is your prediction for England versus Argentina.